kind of unique coming in here after a bye week, so I'll make a couple general comments in regards to our last week and then open it up for questions. Of course, last week we practiced Monday through Thursday. I thought it was a really good week. We got a lot of inexperienced players, a bunch more snaps, a bunch more reps at practice. We were able to get some people healthy or healthier, to put it positively. And I thought we were able to get a head start on Illinois State a little bit as well, along with kind of going back and looking at ourselves over the course of the first 4 games, which is always critical going into a 8-game slugfest that we have on our schedule coming up. But looking forward to playing Illinois State. It's going to be a great road game. Outstanding football team. Coach Spack does an unbelievable job of preparing his kids. I don't think we've ever played them and not walked away with respect and impressed with the group of kids they have. They have outstanding players. You just look at their the defensive line, I think, is one of their strong points on their defensive side. They got a huge nose guard that's very active, very good football player. A couple senior linebacker that's really a physical player and one that we're going to have to make sure we know where he is. They're only giving up 17 points a game, so they do a nice job of keeping people out of the end zone. Offensively, they're coming off a huge performance against Northern Arizona. Davis, their quarterback, had a big night of throwing the football, and then I think they have one of the premier running backs in all of FCS in James Robinson. So we're going to have to be prepared on both sides of the football, and then of course special teams wise, that's going to be the area that could make or break this game. And so we need to make sure we have a great week of prep with our specialists as well. With that, I'll open it up to any questions.
What was your main focus, the main area of improvement that you guys were stressing in that bye week?
I think defensively, coverage was a big emphasis. Some of our man concepts, some of our big zone concepts, but being able to get in and out of each one and utilize them as the rest of the season progresses. From an offensive standpoint, just execution was the number one thing. Coming off the Cal Davis game, it wasn't our greatest execution day, and so I think we wanted to shore some things up moving forward into the season.
It was kind of just to face that adversity, to have that chance, and then to have that bye week after. Was that valuable for you guys? Do you think like you made good use of it?
Oh, I think so. I think we had 4 really good days then, and we had 4 days where we had some install for Illinois State as well. So I think we got a jump start on improving ourselves, but also prepping to win a football game this coming week.
What makes James Robinson so good?
Well, I think he's physical. He's powerful. You go back and watch last year's game. He started to have some big rip off some big runs late in the game against us. Tremendous power in him. Tough to tackle. If you don't get a chance to make contact with him before the line of scrimmage, he's going to be able to have or has the ability to make a big play or turn what you think's a short run into an explosive play. And I've seen that already this year, being able to outrun DBs from Eastern Illinois, Northern Arizona, and their other opponents. So I think he has a little bit of combination of everything, and then they utilize him in the screen game as well. When you think you have him on 3rd and long, all of a sudden here comes slip screen, and he, again, his physicality and his ability to break tackles is critical.
Man, how much their wide receivers, their top 2 being hurt, does that change their offensive look for Saturday?
Well, I'm sure it does from their standpoint, of course. With us, we're still planning on seeing their best football. They've had a bye week as well, so I'm sure it came right at the right time, of course, as well. Anytime you're missing your best players, it gives you another opportunity to develop some kids to step in those roles. And I'm sure they'll be ready for everything that we have defensively. But it wouldn't surprise me if this game's played in between the hashes, to a certain extent.
Emphasis is there on stopping the run now that their 2 top receivers are out.
Well, they had James Robinson when they had the 2 top receivers, so we were going to try to stop the run regardless. But there'll be a heavy emphasis on it all week long and all year long.
The last trip to normal.
I remember walking into the locker room at halftime and the rest of the staff laughing at me because I had about 4 inches of snow on the bill of my cap. And it was unbelievably cold.
Remembrances of the 14 title game. What stands out for you between Illinois State and you guys?
The unbelievable drive by Carson Wentz at the end of the game, and then Esley Thornton getting the pick to seal the deal. Probably really the last play of the game. and it was fitting. I think he probably, and he'd tell you to this day, I just saw him Saturday, that he probably dropped an interception earlier in the day. So he needed to get that one back, probably for himself and for the team.
Given up like 5 touchdowns so far in 4 games.
Who
Defensive.
has?
I think you guys have, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. So, see, coaches don't know. Do you spend a lot of extra time on red zone defense? Just because, I mean, you've talked about field goals. Chris even said it before you.
Yep.
Field goals don't hurt you. I mean, do you spend a lot of time on that extra?
We do, of the 25 days of fall camp, we probably spend 20 days that has some sort of red zone emphasis at some point during the course of practice. Every Tuesday, every Thursday, there's a red zone emphasis as well. We do a lot of it against our own offense when we have the opportunity to, just because we want to see speed on speed, good on good, and it's helped. It's a critical part of the game, and you know, for us to hold people to field goals is big, and you know, it takes away some of the momentum, but also can frustrate them a little bit as well when you're making trip after trip, but you can't seem to get it in the end zone.
Comes into third down defense as well. You guys are ranking really high third down defense, so is Illinois State, but you both also rank really high in third down offense as well. What's a clash like that look like, and do those sort of things kind of stand out to you as a coaching staff when you're preparing for a team?
Well, I think the thing that jumps out to you, I don't know the numbers per se. I would anticipate some of their high numbers of conversion is because they're so efficient in their run game on early downs. And so when you're talking about being able to convert 3rd and 3s, 3rd and 2s, you hope you have a higher percentage of converting than if you're sitting in 3rd and 9s. And that's one thing that I'm sure our offense and their offense pride themselves on is being in some short yardage situations on 3rd down. It's going to come down to who can create a tackle for loss or get someone off schedule during the course of the game. That's when we play our best snaps on 1st and 2nd down, it enables us to open up our playbook a little bit on 3rd down and do some different things.
Parts of just starting conference playoff with a road win in a tough environment.
Well, it's always critical. It doesn't matter if road win or home game. You always want to start conference playoff 1-0. And I routinely have talked to our players about trying to win the first one, and the first game of the year, the first road game of the year, the first non-conference game, the first conference game of the year. However you dice it, you know, if you win the first ones of every year, you have a chance to start the year pretty good. And so this is going to be a big challenge for us. Going on the road is always a challenge. It's just a little bit different routine. Our kids have handled it well the first 2 times. With this early start, you know, our game at Delaware probably benefits us a little bit because that was a 1 o'clock start. This is a noon. It won't be a much earlier morning for us, but our meeting routine will be very similar on Friday than it was out in Delaware.
You guys do anything significantly different than the previous staff in your bye week prep, or was that sort of like the road schedule where it was working fine, so you didn't mess with it?
We didn't do much. There was a couple times in years past where we practiced on Saturday. We did not. We just went Monday through Thursday. I knew that the majority of our staff would be leaving Wednesday evening for recruiting purposes, and so Thursday's practice was a head coach coordinator practice, and then the majority of our staff didn't get back into Fargo until later on Saturday.
Of Brady Davis, it's different this year as opposed to when you saw him in Fargo last year.
I think one, you can see a year of confidence under his belt. You know, to come out and throw against Northern Arizona and really to throw it around the yard like he did as efficiently, and then some big plays too created by their wide receivers was impressive, because that was something that probably was not there as much a year ago. They were more one-dimensional, and so he's added another key thing that you have to take away from is their throw game and their passing game. So he's done a nice job, and you know, has limited the turnovers, and that's always critical when you want to win football games.
You look back at the first 4 games. You personally, have you had a chance to look at Tyler and David and been able to evaluate what you like, what you don't like with them, the coordinators?
I did a little bit. I talked to him early last week on Monday. I kind of had 4 or 5 bullet points for each side of the football, things that I think we're doing well, things that I think we need to continue to look at, or questions that I posed to them that I wanted them to find the answer, kind of in a rhetorical sense. I didn't necessarily need an answer right then. I wanted them to go find it and do some research and do some self-scouting to just to find out if we were giving anything away or what was causing us the greatest issues right now, or what were we being successful with, or what were we not. So it's been good to sit down, and we did the same thing with special teams as well, trying to identify what's been good for us. I'm impressed. I like our returns. Both our punt D and our KOR have done a great job of creating some explosive plays. We need to continue to work extremely hard at punt on our punt team. But again, that's the one special team that'll hurt you the quickest and oftentimes the most.
8-time defending champions. Why is that hard in the league? You've won 8.
Yep.
Why is that difficult?
To do what now? I'm sorry.
To win 8 in a row.
Well, I think just the quality of our conference speaks for itself, and then you throw in the variables of road games, home games, injuries, staff transition, all those different things. I think it doesn't matter if it's 1 year or not. It's extremely difficult conference to win just once, and I've been fortunate now to be here 5 years and be part of it. Our kids, they know the value of winning the Missouri Valley, and we put a heavy emphasis. It's the number one goal that we have on our goal sheets, and that's to be conference championship.
Depth, talent, what?
Of course, depth. Depth's always going to be a key. Trying to stay as healthy as we can. That's why this last week was so critical, maybe in identifying 2 or 3 other players that can help us more. Maybe they've already helped us a little bit, but can they have a greater role on special teams? Is there situations that they can help us on the field that can maybe spare a rep or 2 from one of our main starters or our key starters?
Those 2 or 3?
I think we have. I think we've come up with some guys, special teams wise, that can continue to help us. Some of them have already been helping us, but just trying to expand their role. If they're on 2 special teams, is there a way we can get them on 4? And maybe back off a James Hendricks reps on special teams, or a Marquise Bridges reps on special teams. It was more probably, Jeff, creating it or generating trust with the coaching staff that individuals X, Y, and Z can get it done for us on a Saturday. I think Pete Isaias is one of them right now. He's been traveling with us, been out there on some special teams, has done a great job, has great, excellent speed, has some toughness, and I think we can utilize him on our return teams and our kickoff cover teams. DJ Stewart, back from had a broken hand that took him out of fall camp, missed the first couple games. Another young man that, again, trying to get back into football mode. When you miss fall camp, you miss a lot. And he was behind the gun at receiver already, and then to try to get him, fit into where he can help us on special teams last week was big for him, just getting back into doing our special teams drills and our one-on-one stuff where he can compete and get out there. And so those are 2 names right there that I think we can utilize quite a bit. Wanye Tillman, another young guy who is a redshirt freshman for us, a linebacker. Find ways that we can turn him loose on some coverage teams or on a punt D team where he can take some reps off of maybe a Jackson Brown or someone who's on the majority of the teams. It just comes to finding a bounce, but at the same time making sure we have the best unit out there on the field at that time.
Cox getting close?
Getting close. Hopefully find out a little bit more today. Was running last week, was not practicing, was working out with Coach Kramer. Is pretty much full go physically. We just need to start incorporating him hopefully back into practice now.
Of your status on injuries, Dimitri Williams eligible to play on Saturday?
Sure, he's eligible to play. I hope he's ready to play. And it's still one of those things we're still trying to manage the injury, and hopefully we'll have a breakthrough this week because we've had a week off. Brendan Cook is the only one that we had a severe injury with after the last game. He'll miss the rest of the season because of a shoulder injury. He does not need to have surgery though, so it will heal on its own. It's just a matter of time now. But otherwise, we should be relatively healthy, and that's a good thing. I've been here before after non-conference seasons where we haven't been this healthy, and so knock on wood that we can continue to maintain that health throughout the rest of the season.
Losing Brendan, he was kind of an up and comer on the D line.
It did. It was the second to last play of the game. One of those. The comment I got from Bobby is, "This is the first time I've ever seen this injury," and so it was not one that was. It was extremely atypical injury, and so it's unfortunate. We'll hope to get him. He'll be back ready for spring ball, and like I said, no surgery necessary, but just one of those unique things that happens during the course of a game. And shoulder, yep. And hopefully we're going to have to, again, we've played and we've utilized a number of different bodies. Jake Cava's going to have to come back and help us. Justice Kelly is going to have to give us some more reps, and so it's going to have to, DN by committee. We all know that Derek Tusk is a unique and special player, but he can't be out there for 50, 60 snaps. Then he becomes average.
The red shirts in danger as far as the young defensive ends you have?
Not at this time, right now. I think our young defensive ends will continue just to be scout team players. But as you know, those things always can change as the year progresses.
To the madness with the health, you think? Did you guys do anything different? Is it because you've had so many bodies out there rotating guys? Can you figure anything out, or is it just kind of sometimes luck of the draw how things shake out?
I'd hate to speculate. There's certain years that, 2-3 years ago, we were bitten by the injury bug, and every year it seems like there's an injury of the year. I don't know if it has to do with our rotation. I know at certain positions we are playing a lot of people. We are trying to control some reps some way, somehow. I get a long list of who's played what defensively, offensively, and special teams on Sunday. And just as Jeff asked earlier, that's where we try to find other bodies that can fit in and who can execute the technique or has the skill set to be used on special teams or in a situation on defense.
California passes a lot of paid players as a head coach. Do you have any comment on that?
I don't right now. I heard something quickly on 1660 today, but I moved on. I didn't hear. I'll probably read about it tonight, but I have no comment at this time.
The fourth most populous state on your roster, what has been the key going into, you've emphasized Illinois since taking over as head coach. Why is that such an important state to get to?
I think there's volume of good football players that are in there, just because you talk about Chicago, and we really only recruit northwest suburbs and the west suburbs. So just good football. We have a connection there. We've had some history. Ben LeCompte was from there. He opened up some doors to like the Barrington area. We've had some other real good ones come out of that area. My neighbor, Steve Walker, is from the area, so it's probably another reason why I feel like I need to keep going back to Illinois. But it's been good. Coach Braun does a great job. Joe Klanderman did an outstanding job. And I think the other thing that has been is the ease that those people realize of getting here, that there is probably multiple flights daily from Fargo to Chicago. And so you can get back and forth relatively simple or easy. And that does, I think, open up the eyes of some parents when they think about their sons coming up to North Dakota State.
For you guys as a recruiting staff to not let yourselves get down that rabbit hole. That's the second metro that you've mentioned where you don't go in and just recruit the entire area. Frisco, these specific schools, Illinois, these specific spots. You could recruit those forever if you let yourself.
You're exactly right. I think I remember, I think there's 400 high schools in the metro area of Chicago. There's no way. We couldn't do it justice. And if we tried to recruit at all, we'd recruit nobody. Because you couldn't emphasize on, individuals A, B, and C. And so we find an area that fits our system, a conference, a set of schools that kids can transition to Fargo, to NDSU and be successful, and that's where we're going to go and get after it. Now, sometimes we'll hear a name or we'll have a connection to somebody on the South Side or in the Catholic League. Well, then we'll utilize that. But we have our 100 schools in that northwest, suburban area that we're going to try to make an impact in. All right. Thanks, guys.